And okay. Start stream.
Okay.
Okay, cool. We should be live. It still says it's starting at the top, but then it says
should be.
Stop streaming. YouTube's
All right,
live
I'm
control
recording in
is.
Audacity.
Oh, that's a good point. You gotta record.
Oh, there we go.
Recording.
I did it. I didn't forget this time.
Okay. Live stream is good.
We are live.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Normally,
I do look fuzzy as all hell compared to you two. Jesus.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I
You're a
don't get
fuzzy,
it.
fuzzy man.
You're part Sasquatch.
Yeah, I believe it.
Hey, Wallace. Okay, there we go. Now we can actually start. Hey, everyone. I'm Joshua Raptor. Over there is Calebite, and over there is Grand Marshal.
Hello.
Hello.
How you
I
guys?
don't know if I'm hearing.
I'm recovering from strep throat.
I don't think I'm hearing audio.
You're not hearing any?
I'm not hearing any.
Oh, I'm totally hearing audio of this, so that's totally on your end.
Okay.
Totally.
That's fair.
Can you guys hear?
Yeah, I can
Rebecca
hear all of
and
us.
Wallace.
Hear the audio?
Yeah. If I can hear the
Can
audio, I'm
you
pretty sure
see? Can you see the noise?
It could be something with my browser. So
It
don't worry about it.
off topic, Timeless on Netflix, so amazing about the time traveling. Oh, interesting. All right, I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca,
Timeless.
hi, how you doing?
Interesting.
Wallace, as always, pleasure. So let's get right into today's topic, and this was actually it was a
Firefight.
It was a firefight, Willem Dafoe.
was a firefight.
So this was actually a topic that we saw on Reddit, and I even gave credit to the person who posed the question. It was Kyoto Tanks, and it's about online gaming. And basically, at this point in our lives, have people forgotten how to enjoy online games without some sort of progression system? And he gave the quote for, or not a quote, he gave the example of Warcraft 3 with the tower defense mode, and how we would play that nonstop, and loot boxes or getting any type of skins or hats or anything of that type.
Anything that usually
Anything.
involves leveling up, involving getting progression of stuff, and not necessarily just playing the game and then that's it, but playing the game in order to get stuff. Whether that's stuff that helps you as your character playing the game to be better, or if it's just cosmetic. Either way.
Right. So
Yep. Progression.
it's I mean there's a lot to kind of go in this direction, but I would say that Marsh and Caleb, you guys, I feel like have experiences a little bit more than I have, or have
I'm experiencing it right now, actually.
or have dedicated yourselves more to it than I have. And I wonder if this also ties into trophies to any extent. And we kind of already talked about trophies every now and then.
I think it is related. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll
Like
be
achievements and stuff.
right. Yeah, so I didn't know if that was actually, that's also I just thought of something that I can talk about, but it relates to achievements and progression and stuff like that. So who wants to kick it off?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
go
just
first.
my example of when I was reading through this and I was like, oh, yeah, it just made me think about the, oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I was visiting my in-laws for Mother's Day, so I was out of town. Thank you, Wallace. So my example when they were talking about, remembering an old game that they used to play without having any kind of progression other than just enjoying playing the game and being better at it. The two things that I remembered the most were Doom 2.
Okay.
Doom and Doom 2 that I used to play with my brother, like with the two computers hooked up in LAN, or we'd do some weird thing over broadband to try and connect with some of his other friends. What's up, the Mimikyu of Time? Welcome, thank you. And we would just play, I mean, all the time, and we'd do different modifiers or things that we would play, where we'd get different custom maps, but it was just the two of us playing an old ass game that was not old at the time, but we just did it for fun. And then with Halo 1, just playing multiplayer Halo 1, doing crazy different modifiers, doing everything rockets only with friends, just hours and hours and hours and hours, and there's no progression. Like, everything is unlocked from the game to begin with. There's no levels you're getting, there's no loot boxes, there's nothing. It was just playing the game.
Yeah.
But now it is like, I don't really want to invest time in a multiplayer game that I'm not going towards completing something, even if that's like completing challenges in Call of Duty to unlock, player cards or whatever. It doesn't even have to be anything good, but like I just really like completing stuff.
I was Caleb's been the most consistent person to watch me play Fortnite, and for the first couple of days, I didn't even realize that there was a daily challenges option right on the front. And then I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, I don't care anything about that. And Caleb about had a heart attack. He was like, that would be the only thing that I would go for each day. That's what would get Caleb to come back.
That's the only thing that would keep me playing that game is going to complete those challenges, because like that's just what I love. It gives me something to do every time I start playing the game. It gives me some reason to like try different things out in the game and learn different facets of it. So yeah, it's entirely how I play those games. When I start playing Call of Duty or some shooter of that type, like first thing I do is look at the barracks, look at the list of challenges. Okay, what do I have that the game wants me to try and do? And I just make classes built around doing those things, and I completely focus on that.
Yeah.
And so I'm 100% in that new culture of online games where you need like something to go for.
Now, do you think that is it at the point where if you get something and you've gotten all the things, will you just put the game away and never play it again, as if it's an online game? So technically there's always a replayability to a multiplayer game of some sort, because it's with different people every time or whatever. Or is it basically like this game is it kind of like Ricochet, where even though it is a multiplayer game that Marshall and I played with, I think there were only 2 people online in the entire world playing Ricochet with us, and it was dumb.
There was a point where there were a lot of people playing though, way back when, and it was amazing.
Right, but so that's kind of my point. Let's say you put in the time for Ricochet, and you became the Ricochet master and got everything the game had to offer, but it still had a thriving online community. But there wouldn't be any more development to the game. Would you consider still playing that game, or do you think that basically not having a daily goal of some sort or anything like that is a big turnoff?
So it's hard to say, because I can't really think of an example of a game where there's only one example that I can think of in a game where I've been able to do everything, or at least like everything that I was going to ever reasonably be able to do and set out to do. Because like with the last Call of Duty games that I played, and even like Overwatch or stuff like that, I've lost interest in the game before it ever got to that point, or like another game has come along that I wanted to play more. So I would think that if the progression system weren't there, I probably wouldn't. Like I would probably just eventually lose interest in the game. Like I wouldn't have that thing to go for. I think that's true. I mean, I guess because even with like Destiny, that had all kinds of progression things and time gated things that kept people coming in and playing that game, and I never was able to say that I did everything, because I hadn't collected every single piece of of all the different sets, and like I completed all of the activities, but there were still some of the collection type things that I hadn't done, and I was still playing the game because I did generally enjoy the game. But if I didn't have something that I wanted to go get, and that was what eventually, when I stopped playing, was I was like, I have like a couple things left, but I don't feel like getting them, so I'm done.
Yeah. What about you, Marsh? Because it's like just adding progression in games is such like when did it kind of? I mean, every game had extra things to do, like side quests and stuff like that. But
I guess it all depends on what the progression is and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I own Monster Hunter World. I've only put in like 4 or 5 hours at most. I have not even the most I ever got into that game was I got to the second map. There are like 4 maps total, I think, in that game, and you only get to the last map after you've done the full campaign, and that'll take maybe 30 hours. And it's like, hey, the real game starts here. But I haven't got.
So you quit when the real game started?
Yeah.
But I quit before I even got close to finishing.
You were still in the tutorial.
I'm still basically in the tutorial, early in the tutorial. And
wow.
The reason why I stopped is because I know that game requires a lot of dedication to be able to like progress and like kill more tough enemies and you know, farming previous enemies in order to get better gear and all that stuff. And it's just like, I don't know if I have the time because I have other things I'm playing. Because, you know, for instance, I'm playing Warframe and there's always something that I have to do in order for progression wise. And whether that's like anything super important, not really. I mean, I'm at the point where it's like, I'm just playing the game because I'm just enjoying playing the game and murdering everything with a space ninja god, essentially.
So if you didn't, so to the same question then, if you didn't have things that you could, you know, complete that you could still do in Warframe, would you still be playing it, or is it because you still have like things?
Yeah. And that's simply because they keep adding like story stuff to the game, and you know, like things like that, and like certain events that not like an event that only happens once a year, but like an event that, you know, will come back
Like new
every
content.
like, yeah, the actual content that it's like, oh, they'll just come back and do it, and you know, that stuff's fine. And sure, there is stuff that you can get in that, but it's like, I don't really need it. A lot of the stuff is like not necessary, and that's kind of like, in a way, when we used to play Battlefield Bad Company 2, or how you always level up and you always kept getting like new gear and all that stuff. Like usually a lot of the time when I found something to use that I really enjoyed, I just stuck using that gun, and I just stuck using that like rocket launcher and all that.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
Oh, you kidding me? Oh my god!
That was like the most sarcastic thing.
That was
he
insanely
said.
sarcastic,
dude. How you said that? I was like,
no,
are you
it's absolutely sarcastic. I don't.
Like if I could describe how Marshall plays a video game, he finds
like,
the one thing that he likes within 5 minutes of playing it, and never does anything
I
else.
think that's what was it?
Zero
In
experimentation.
Destiny 2, you had 3 characters and they were all Titans.
No,
or something
he had
like
one.
that.
He never.
I had
even
one.
you
I
didn't
still
even-
have
He
one.
didn't
And
make
it's
three, just
the
one character.
Titan. No, why would I do that?
One
I don't care.
character.
It's just the Titan.
Yeah,
But for that, it's like, why would I want to spend so much time adding more progression for the sake of progression when I'm just enjoying my one character that I'm using?
It's not progression for the sake of progression. It's a different spin on the game. You play it differently.
yes.
If you're trying to level up in Destiny, which with the most recent update, they've really pulled back on you being able to get a higher light level without actually really going ham on the stuff that you can do, where it's like, if you really want to do it quickly, it basically requires you to use all 3 characters throughout the week to be able to get a higher light level, because it's all count related and all that stuff.
Destiny has always been designed around
I was
having 3
going to
characters.
say that. I mean, that's
not really.
Yes, it has.
It gives you the option to have 3 characters, but it's not requiring you to have 3 characters.
If you wanted to play Destiny hardcore,
you would have 3 separate
and
characters.
you wanted
one
stuff,
with each
3 separate
faction.
characters has always been
One would be dead.
always been like the design.
Deadspin.
Even in Destiny
If you
1.
don't like playing as a warlock or a hunter, I mean, like, then that's just playing the character because you're forcing yourself to get gear that you don't care about.
And now with some of the changes that they've made, it does require the 3 separate classes. But even beyond that, Destiny 1, it was optimal to have three separate characters, whether they were different classes or they were all the same class. Like, that game has been designed to have 3 characters on your account doing the events every week.
I would lose my mind if I had 3
always
Titans.
been designed
like
that way.
I would literally lose my mind. I would hate the game more if I had 3 Titans, like, to play.
No, not
Like,
even just Titans. Like, you had to have
get through like doing all the weekly stuff in like a day or 2, and then it's like, okay, now to go to my next Titan to redo that again. It's like, I would kill myself.
That was the game.
That was the game.
That was the game.
But that's like
It's like
for me,
it's like playing
playing
WoW.
with
It's like the different kind of grind.
I mean, like with World of Warcraft, I had one character. I had my warrior, and that was it.
Oh, really? I'm shocked.
I mean, like I had another character who was specifically made for, I think it was tailoring and something else, but like it wasn't a character I would log into simply to get gear for. That was a character simply so I can get more skills to help with my other character.
Yeah.
And that was it.
We've gone way off the rails. So Wallace says, in recent years, it feels like publishers don't have ideas to finish out the game, and so they're just like, we'll give people,
Give them
challenges,
carrot on
give them
stick.
things to do, give them loot boxes, and that gives them something that keeps them entertained. And to a point, I agree with that. And to another point, I think that it's an evolution in just the psychology of making video games and having that almost. I mean, I'm going to say addictive, but I don't necessarily mean it as strongly as that word sounds. But it's that compulsion to like have the desire to come back and keep playing things because small rewards and like small progression feels good, and that's rewarding, and that's what players like, and that's why games like the adventure exploration 2D games like the Metroidvania style, that's why those are fun and why those still work and people still play them. It's why MMOs, World of Warcraft type games work, because there's lots of little rewards, little character progression that keeps you having something to do and feels good. And so that's just kind of an evolution, and we're seeing them now in the multiplayer space, and some of that is done well and some of that is just a cash grab. So it's it is a very different landscape now. You don't just have the multiplayer game that is the game, and like even back in Gears of War, all of them, 1, 2, and 3 at least, those were multiplayer games that were the only progression was the achievements. And so if you don't count achievements, which I do and I don't, for really what we're talking about, I don't count achievements because it's like I'm talking more progression in game, actually getting things in the game, getting characters, getting cosmetics, levels, whatever. That wasn't a thing in those games, and it was just a multiplayer game, and you played it because it was fun, and that's not good enough anymore.
It's so this is a little bit about trophies and potentially artificially increasing the length of a game just because I kind of feel like it goes with what Wallace was saying, was that like Nintendo had a pretty strong philosophy that they never wanted to implement achievements because they thought it artificially inflated a game. And one game that instantly comes to mind is Darksiders. And you had to ride your horse for like 10,000 kilometers or just something dumb that like...
No, it was 10 miles.
It was 10 miles, yeah. And it was dumb because you didn't need to ride it that long. So I rubber banded the analog sticks together, so my horse just ran in a circle, and I just left the game. And so
this is where I get confused. It's like, why are you doing that?
Right?
It's like
that's exactly.
Who cares?
No, I absolutely
this is the most fascinating
agree.
thing, because this took me forever to convince Caleb back in the day when we were excited for Destiny 1. It's like, dude, just get a PlayStation. He's like, yeah, but my achievements. And I'm like, but who cares? But my achievements are like, it's a fucking number that doesn't exist. It's like that again. It's all psychological, which again goes back to my thing of it's like, yeah, I have one character in Destiny, but it's like, yeah, but why don't you get all the other characters? I'm like, yeah, but who cares? Who cares about getting all the other gear? I have my one character. That's fine.
You have your one character that you like.
It's like with For Honor, because I still play that game and I have literally everything I need for my Conqueror.
Yeah.
But I still play my Conqueror.
Yeah.
And there are like 16 characters in that game now, and I only play one. And it's like, yeah, but what about all the other characters you want to try out and get all the gear for? I'm like, no, I have my one character that I play, and I enjoy playing that character. Why? I don't need the carrot on the stick to do anything else. It's like I play my one character because he's super fun to play, and I don't want to have to worry about relearning to play a completely different character and all that stuff. Like, I'm good with him, and I'm good.
Yeah, it's achievements are totally different, and you're absolutely right about them not meaning anything. But it's they do. I mean, it's just like it artificially inflated the game, kind of like to Wallace's point, which is kind of I was trying to get to Wallace's point, but you also brought up a good point. You didn't actually you didn't derail the argument.
I wasn't trying to.
You brought up a really good point, which is why did I even do that? Why did I care? And I don't know.
Right.
I wanted to 100% the game, so I never had to play it again. And I don't know why that's a mentality that I have. And it's weird
I'm the
because
same way though. It's like I don't know.
Played Resident Evil 6 on the hardest difficulty, and I still to this day
do not understand. It wasn't hard. Yeah. So
because it feels good. It's completion. It's
But that is
completing
purely
a task,
in your
and it feels
mind of
good.
Right.
feeling good. That is
But
all
here's
psychological addiction. Right
here's
there.
where it
That
gets
is
like
purely where that stuff comes from.
here's where it doesn't make sense for me and my brain, and it's that. So if you guys don't know, there's a YouTuber called The Completionist, Gerard
yeah.
Khalil Clark. I don't know his last. It's kind of
Dragon
like
Rider.
Yeah.
Gerard Dragon
Whatever.
Rider.
anyways,
Cool.
awesome dude.
He's
Super.
cool.
He seems like a
Super cool
super
dude.
super cool, super nice dude. Like he actually seems like a nice dude, which is
He actually is a super nice dude. No joke.
but he 100% every game, kind of no matter what. And so I was playing Sly Cooper for the remake for the PS3, and it gives you an in-game percentage, and then you can also earn trophies for it. I didn't care anything about the in-game percentage, but I wanted to get every single trophy, and so I did. And I was able to get every single trophy, but I still had like 70% of the game left over. But it's just like I was like, oh, the thing that everyone will see is completed. I don't need to play anymore, and so I stopped. So it was like I didn't need to fully complete the game, but I wanted to get all the trophies, and I don't know why that was the thing, because they had a percentage counter in game as well. So I don't understand.
Yeah.
That doesn't make
It's
sense to
weird.
me. Yeah,
Did you
right.
but here's the thing: did you actually really enjoy Sly Cooper?
I did. I will. So it's like I did enjoy Sly Cooper, and actually even the newest God of War, I 100%ed that game. But there were 3 combat challenges that I did not complete in to gain XP. But
You fool!
it doesn't matter. I mean, I got all the trophies, so I was just like, all right, that's fine, whatever, I'm done. And so it's like, I
Hold
don't,
on.
Yeah.
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Did you get stuck on the one where you can't take any damage?
I mean, it was annoying and it took a little while, but I beat it. I mean, I have all the trophies.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you actually did all that stuff. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, it was. Don't get me wrong. It was annoying, and it was basically me running around telling my son to shoot everything and just hiding.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
But yeah, it's so that was. Like I said, I wish that there was some sort of consistency, but there isn't. I care like for games that I quote unquote complete. It's like I more care about the outward facing achievements to show people than I do about actually fully completing a game. And so that kind of goes with I guess Fortnite is that. Not that I don't dislike Fortnite, I really do like it, but that progression system to me doesn't mean anything because I don't know if I plan on playing Fortnite long term. I
was
enjoy
about to say
the
because
game.
you're not invested in that game at all. So it's like if you're
It's-
not invested, it's like all those psychological primings and all that stuff, the carrot on the stick and everything like that means absolutely nothing to you.
I mean, it's a fun game. It can be very fun. There's a good amount of strategy that's involved in it. You need to be able to react well, but I just don't see myself that this isn't my life's game that I see playing. And so that XP stuff, no idea. I had no idea that it was even on that front page, and that was the first thing that kind of got Caleb's attention. And in like other online games, it's just I don't know if I play them because of the progression system, or it's the fact that every single multiplayer game now has progression that I end up playing a game that includes it. So like Overwatch, very much enjoy Overwatch, but it has a loot box system, and I think I would still play Overwatch even if it didn't have that. But that's not a choice. I will get loot boxes from leveling up no matter what.
Right.
But like Halo 2, I played the crap out of Halo 2, but there was no like online progression system, and so that's something that I can think of. Even the first Counter-Strike, I played Counter-Strike, not first. I didn't play 1.6. I played Source a lot, and Source didn't have anything, and so that was a lot of fun. And there was never an idea of an award for just playing a game. Playing the game was the reward, and so it's they don't separate it anymore. But I mean, something like Destiny, where the game was built around hitting those things every week.
I think a lot of it though has to do with specifically games these days have been watered down so much to be able to bring in as wide of an audience as humanly possible, because publishers don't understand the idea of you don't necessarily need to have a tremendous budget in order to make a good game. Like, I mean, Japan is a perfect example of this. Of like, remember when Dragon's Crown first came out, which by the way, Dragon's Crown Pro just recently re-released for the PlayStation 4. That game sold like 1 million units, and that was a huge success for that game. So it's like you don't need a huge budget, but you know. Going back to everything's been watered down.
Smaller studio.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's like even with like a mid-sized studio, it's like you can still make a really good game, and it
You've
can
got
sell
like the
really
Witcher
well.
series, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, though they
But-
are kind of getting a little bit big now. But
No, they
what
are,
I was going to say specifically is like, I feel like because the games have been a lot of games have been watered down these days, that they are then putting in this progression, all this loot boxes, all these things like that, in order to try and keep people hooked to it. Because without that, a lot of people would have been like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's my whole point is that it's the hook to keep you drawn in. And one thing that I did want to bring up that was an interesting in our kind of side discussion about this topic earlier. One thing that was an interesting point is that it's not even for some people and some because of the progression systems and the things that you're earning and it takes your resource that you have to give to the game is time. You have to devote your time to playing it, and the opportunity cost of that is not playing other games. And normally you'd think the decision would be, well, which game do I want to play because it's more fun over the other game? But with these timed events and things like that, it can turn into not just which game do I want to play because it's the most fun and it's what I want to do right now, but which game do I have to play in order to get the stuff that's limited for this timed event? Or what does playing this game and not progressing mean when I could have been playing something else and progressing for that? Like with Warframe, I could have been playing Warframe and doing stuff to grind out materials to then get the timer started on my next long build that's going to take 2 weeks. I could have been playing I could have been playing
2 weeks. Good Lord.
Destiny that was had the Iron Banner going on this week and getting the rewards that are exclusive to that week. It's like it's not even just I'm going to play Destiny because I want to. It's like, oh, there's an event going on, I have to play Destiny this week. So that's kind of been an interesting shift.
What's weird is I've actually just been playing Destiny simply because I enjoy playing Destiny. Like
that's a lie.
Seriously,
no one enjoys Destiny.
The first person shooting gameplay of that game is, I think, right now the best on any console right now, and that's why. That's why I always keep coming back to it, just because the actual gameplay itself is so good. It's just that there's a lot of stupid shit around it. It's really good, but it's just there's just a lot of stupid crap around it that is just like it kind of spoils it.
So do you think? Oh, do you think that there's an opposite effect? Whereas I've missed so many Iron Banners at this point.
Who cares?
To me,
you're not motivated to get back into it.
That's the thing. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I've missed these things, and it's just like I've missed these timed events. I never got to do the sparrow racing, which really ticked me off because I didn't know it was a timed event. And so it's just it's almost like I feel like I've missed out on too much that my desire to go back is even less.
I can tell you right now, SRL, like it's fun, but it's like you're done with.
He's not even talking about Destiny in general. He's just talking about the concept. I mean, like with games that have these limited events and it's true, and it can be more like I hopped on, I don't remember when it was, and played Overwatch, and it's like, okay, not only am I feeling bad because I'm terrible and I'm getting crushed, but there's also people running around with things that I can't get because I didn't play during those limited times.
Right.
So I know what you mean. It's like, well, I missed all the other like cool stuff.
Yeah.
What's the point of going into it? Because I'm not going to get that.
Maybe I am the odd one out where it's just like, I don't really care. I mean, Iron Banner for season 3 of Destiny starts tomorrow, and then there are new ornaments now that you can get for Iron Banner that'll change your gear, your default Iron Banner gear that is always still the same from all 3 seasons, but the ornament that you get per season will make it look different. And so that's just been revealed of what they look like and all that stuff. And it's like, I didn't play any Iron Banner from season 2 because I stopped playing because Curse of Osiris really just killed it for me. And it's like there was some cool gear, but it's like, all right, big deal. I mean, I don't need that. And maybe that's why it's just like I'm the weird one here, because it's like, I mean, sure, like I missed out on some stuff, and it kind of sucks, but it's like whatever. Like there's the big thing that they added in with Destiny right now is they added like a special like a ranking system for their PvP Crucible. And one they have a Valor, which is the normal like quick play, and then there's Glory, which is the competitive, where you will lose Glory if you lose, and there's a lot of problems with that. But if you get high enough glory in the season, you will get a super good pulse rifle called Retrix's Claymore or something like that. And the only way you can get it is if you get high enough of a glory rank. And so right now everyone is panicking because it's like, I need to get this pulse rifle. But like me, I'm just like, nah, I have absolutely zero interest in getting it. I don't care. I mean, sure. And apparently once the season's over, you're never getting it again. So it's like, and I'm just like,
Right.
I can live with it. Whatever.
So yeah, I agree. That's the thing, but I didn't know if that was I mean, not necessarily being the odd one out is you, because I feel like that's a given and didn't need to be stated. But it just, for me, it's like, I didn't know if that was a common thing as well. It's like, I mean, the fear of missing out is kind of integral to some of these progression systems and timed events, but does that also make it like way less fun to play? Like if I put something down, does that turn me off to ever picking it up again and playing, because I know that I won't be able to get everything else that I see someone else playing with. But the
thing is, that's happening. So the question then for me is, why are you letting that get to you? Who cares?
Right.
Who cares if some person has some cool thing that you're never going to get? Big deal. There are going to be other cool things that you can get in the future. That something that other people won't probably get. I mean, it's just like,
That's absolutely true.
It's again, all of this is to try and get you to keep playing, to try and get you to pay money. That's literally all that is. Like, seriously. And
I mean, it's not always to the point of paying money.
Well, a lot of the time. Well, I mean, in a way.
I'm not saying a lot of the time it isn't, and even maybe most of the time
again,
now it isn't. But
hypothetically, let's think of it this way: it's get people to keep playing a game, so that way the publisher, when it comes to all the investors talking to the publisher that day, and that way the publisher can go, look at how many people are playing our game right now. Invest in money for us. Like that's just.
Yeah, the goal of any game company is to get people to keep playing your game, one way or another.
That makes the money. I mean, but that's what I mean, and that's why all this is here right now, and this is why we're talking about it. I mean,
right. So, is there a progression, or is there a game that you've been playing that has no progression system that you've been playing?
Me right now?
Yeah.
Trying to think. No, not Vermintide 2, no Warframe. I guess Slay the Spire, which is kind of a Binding of Isaac card game.
Right.
You can get new cards, but like that's just playing the character enough times, and like that's it, and then you get it. It's like, okay, cool. But like that's it. I mean, there's no like progression to that game. It's just you play the game and you beat it or you don't, and then you start over and then you just do that again. And then every now and then I will reinstall Mountain Blade Warband, which I'm still waiting for Mountain Blade Bannerlord. I hope to God that shows up for E3 this year. And that game has nothing to do with like progression or anything like that. That is just a medieval life simulator where you can do whatever the hell you want. And
right.
I enjoy that. Sometimes I will try and build a castle or like take over a castle and like it's mine now. Or when I reinstall it, I'll just make a small band of dudes and I just go around attacking people. And that's it. I mean, it all just depends on what I want to play.
Yeah, it's such a hard thing to just. I mean, it's you have these studios that no longer kind of make one game and then move on to the next one. They make a game and they try and stretch it as long as possible, because it's like a weird vicious circle, because games cost so much more to make now than they did before. And so it's like, because they cost so much more, they need to make them last longer. So the turnaround of games seems to be less from these big studios, because they need you to stay on one game long enough until they can release the next game. So they build in these progression systems. But if making games cost less money, they may not be so reliant on having these progression systems to keep you playing. It's no longer like, oh, this is the game of the week. They want you to be like, this is the game for your life. And
right.
And that's what the
well, that's again, that
does.
goes back to our argument of games as a service, and it's no longer just a one and done thing.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, you may not be paying monthly for Destiny like you would with WoW or another game where you expect to have
But
this
you're
kind
probably
of
going to be paying 40, $30
every
come
2 or 3 months new expansion, right?
the new
Which
expansion
is
is, you know.
right. Or when they lock you out of progression when a new expansion comes, which is kind of what
Well,
Curse
that
of the
was the
Osiris
first. Well,
did.
that
But
was with. Well, yeah, they remember that was the reason why I stopped playing D1 Cold Turkey after literally the first month and a half when the Crota DLC came out, because they locked a whole bunch of stuff behind the paywall, and I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm done. Screw you. And I didn't come back until like at least 2 months after the Taken King came out because of Corey.
yeah, he definitely still likes Destiny. So it's
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, it's clearly psychology, and you can say like, why does this bother you to anyone? But it's like
That's true, and I mean that is a lot to do with having to learn it and then understand when it's happening to you, than to be able to tell yourself it's fine, don't worry about it.
it's yeah, if a game needs these bubblegum mechanics, it's not good enough alone. And I completely agree. I think that
Exactly.
if you were to ignore that, and then so that's actually, I was going to bring this up next, is for these games with a progression system, and I absolutely know this was a fact with me for Destiny. It had a progression system, and I wouldn't say I was a slave to it, but I absolutely, when I would log on, I would see what I needed to do and I would do it, but I would be numb during the whole thing. I would put it in there because I knew that there were some things I needed to do, and I would do them, but I didn't get any enjoyment out of doing them. I did them because I felt like I kind of needed to do them. And so has that what this is kind of turned into? It's like, it doesn't matter if you enjoy the game as long as you're playing it, or is there more to it? Because I mean, it was like yeah, Caleb, you and I were talking about ways. So we each beat the campaign on all 3 different classes in Destiny 2, and I was like, this is so boring and so dumb. And Caleb was like, well, if you get rid of the HUD, it's a little bit more fun. And I was like, oh, like we were trying to find ways to make it more fun to play the campaign because we weren't enjoying anything about it. And it was about that time where I was like, I'm done with Destiny. And so that was kind of the moment where I was like,
see, again, that just like that blows my mind of why would you play the campaign over and over again like that? And it's like, I've already played it once, I don't want to have to do it again. Like,
because I wanted to play the other classes. I mean, that was like
okay,
that was the cost. Like, I wanted to play.
If you enjoy the other classes, that
and
that
unfortunately,
totally makes sense.
Unfortunately, the game makes you play through the
does.
campaign
You have
in order
to
be
beat
able
the
to unlock
campaign,
the other
right.
stuff. So
Yeah.
like that was, I wasn't doing that just because I had to. I was, or because like the progression system told me to. I was doing it because I couldn't play the game with that class if I didn't.
I did it for the achievement. I was pretty certain I wasn't going to play with anything else because I really liked the Hunter. Well, the first Destiny, I only played Hunter. I never played any other characters because I liked the Hunter. Whereas this one, I was like, okay, I'll try the other ones out. And so you have to play the campaign, and so I had to play the campaign.
Yeah.
Hunter sucks when it first came out, which kind of made me sad. But
Hunter's such an asshole in PvP. Holy crap.
But yeah, so now
bad.
it's you know, I kind of raised the question again: is anyone actually enjoying this progression system, or are they doing it out of out of like a mental necessity to kind of like scratch that itch to make sure it's completed?
I think that's the dangerous line that you walk with this kind of stuff, because I know that like in Destiny 1, it did get to that point with me too, where it was maybe not so much like wasn't enjoying it at all and I was dead inside. What's up, Uprising Firefox? I like that name.
That's cool.
But it was, you know, you log in and you do your checklist and that's what you're doing. And that can be destructive. And so I agree. And I was trying to think of your examples of like, what multiplayer games have I been playing recently that don't have a progression system because it is so ingrained, or at least a game that I'm playing, a multiplayer game that I'm enjoying that has a progression system, but I'm not doing it for that. Like I can tell you that if I were playing Overwatch, it would be because I want to level up to get my next loot box. Like that's what I'm going for. And that would be the thing that would keep me playing through the losses, not because I'm really enjoying the game, but because that's like something that I can go for eventually. That will be fun. And like with Hearthstone, log in and play that to do the quests so that I can get the next pack. And that's like the progression thing that I'm like, okay, well, I can deal with some of the nonsense of maybe not having fun every time I play the game because I've got that I'm going for. But if I think
But
about
do
like
you enjoy
Rocket League,
but do
Oh,
you
yeah.
enjoy playing
like
Hearthstone though?
I
Or are
do
you
to a
just
point, but not always.
Yeah.
and then yeah, then it becomes the question of then if I'm just playing it for the sake of logging in, then what's the point if I'm not enjoying it?
Right. I mean, but that's not really the discussion.
I agree. I think Rocket
But
League it does have
yeah, but like
crates, but it's just like whatever.
yeah, but Rocket League has a progression system in it, and it has that thing for you to keep going for. But I'm like I don't care about that progression system at all. That is a game where if I log in and play it, it's because I'm having fun. That said, I don't play Rocket League by myself. I only play Rocket League when I've
Oh,
got
right.
other friends like you guys to play with.
I haven't seen you play
And,
Rocket
like-
League in forever. I always want to, dude. Anytime you'd be like, yeah, anyone want to play Rocket League? I'll be like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true. But I'm not really in the mood for Rocket League. It's not even that I
Right.
don't enjoy it. Like Rocket League's a good game. I just don't want to play it at the moment. But that's a game where the progression system could completely not exist, and I would still enjoy it the same way that I enjoy it now. Like it
It's
doesn't.
like almost the opposite because I know there are the crates that you can get that will occasionally drop, but it's like you can only get a certain amount of crates a week, and it's like you can't trade the crates.
You
I
have
don't
to pay money
actually.
for them.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
you
you
have to.
have to,
You can trade crates with each other, I think, but it's like and other stuff in it. But it's like you can't buy them off of the Steam Marketplace. It's like why can't? It's like it's one of those weird things where it's like I want them to give me more crates because I am more than happy to spend money to get stuff. Like I'm fine with that because I enjoy just playing that game. It's like who cares? That's a weird progression where it's just like it's a side thing that's like there and it's whatever, but it's like, dude, give me more of it. I don't care. That's cool. It's fine.
So
Totally fine.
does a ranking system also count as progression?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I also
that
don't
would be
think so.
different.
Yeah, I think that
think
is right.
That is mostly to be like, yo, this is how good you are, and this is
That's competitive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's just to show like this is how good you are, and because that's how good you are, that you're gonna be playing against more harder opponents and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that would classify as a progression system. It's a ranking system. I mean, it's something that's different because it is just a way to quantify the efforts that you're doing by playing a multiplayer game for the purpose of getting better, not for the purpose of unlocking something else.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I would make that distinction.
Right. So it's like, I mean, so Splatoon has a ranking system, but when you play matches, you get coins and you can buy gear with those coins, but it's not like you're there to unlock a chest of some sort. And so that I don't think falls into the category. And then I was thinking it's like Super Smash Brothers does not have a ranking online or doesn't have a progression system. Actually, I think Melee probably had the most type of progression system with the figurines you could buy out of the slot machine. Back in the day, I don't remember, with the in-game coins that you would get playing with your friends. Do you guys remember that? Nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
Nope. Okay, well, anyways, I still feel like Nintendo doesn't try to stretch out their games. That's all I wanted to say.
It's one and done, and
Yep.
that's
Yeah, I mean they make the, like you said, they make it, and it is what it is, and people are going to play it if they enjoy it. And then when they're done with it, they're done with it, and they don't have those extra systems to elongate the life, and I do respect that. I think that's really and again, I think it is another function of them being a completely separate entity in the whole like video game wars space, that it allows them that liberty. Like they're not competing against games that are on this PlayStation and Xbox because it's just Nintendo. Like they have Nintendo, people are going to play Nintendo games, and there's no like all of the Nintendo games are that way, so they all can just be like, yeah, people are going to play whichever game they think is the most fun, and they're going to buy it, and like they're all in that same space, and they're not up against the other games, so they're trying to be the only game you play ever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that they're allotted that freedom.
That's true. So yeah, so the podcast, we do these every week now, and we haven't done a lot of tutorials recently, um,
The
because
tutorials, I think a lot of it has to do with we have to really, really, really love a game to be like, okay, well, I want to make content for it. I mean, the reason why we did a lot of Legends of Zelda stuff is because Corey, who hasn't really had a lot of time these days, really, really enjoyed that game so much. He's like, dude, I want to make stuff for it. And we're like, okay, sure, go for it.
But yeah, another thing with the tutorials though is if we see something, or if we see someone else has already done it, we
Yeah.
won't take someone else's content. There are a couple of YouTubers that we know of that we purposefully avoid their channels because they will, like, we'll release a video, and honestly, a couple hours afterwards, they'll use our strategy for some stuff, and luckily that hasn't hurt us too badly. But it's just it's one of those things that where, you know, we could be making tutorials all the time, but if someone else
could,
if someone else did it, we don't see the merit in that. We kind of we want to bring
we
useful,
want to do our own stuff,
helpful content to you guys all the time.
Right. We're more interested in if we have a way to make a method better, or an improvement, or something that's different, unique. We're not in the business of just as soon as a game comes out, you know, making a tutorial for it. And so it's been a little bit of a lull for us in that sense, because we haven't devoted time to a game that could use tutorials like that, and also there hasn't been a nice spot to fill with tutorial with things that people aren't finding, or ways to do things differently.
Yeah.
Like what Corey did with
we
Zelda.
kind of shun the whole clickbaitiness. Like there have been a couple of videos on our channel that we have taken down shortly after posting because it's like, it's too clickbaity. We don't like that.
Yeah, or at least change the title or done. Yeah, so it's it's like I agree. I feel like some of the tutorials, the tutorials that we've done were always really good, and we're pretty proud of those. But so that's kind of why the tutorials have kind of slowed down. I'm hoping to kind of do some Fortnite tutorials, but those to do well take kind of a long time, and it's more of how I did something poorly and not necessarily the best way for everyone to do something.
How to do something better, yeah.
Right, because it's there are already those videos. There are videos of how to get into Fortnite and how to play it. So it's like we want to do our own thing, because we're not in the, and so that was actually one of the things that we really like about the podcast, is that we can thoroughly discuss these topics, and it's always unique because it is us three, like, right away. But I can absolutely, I mean, especially if you guys came here for the Zelda stuff, Zelda at this point is pushing 2, maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's any more DLC announced for it. So it's like there are a couple things that, like acorns. I was working on an acorn tutorial, but acorns do not spawn consistently, and it's impossible to find a stupid squirrel. And so that one I just couldn't get
kind of fell to the wayside. Yeah.
And so it's, you know, there's like 2 or 3 things where it's like, yeah, we could make a tutorial for like the acorns and the best places to find it, but it's not a repeatable. It's not a repeatable thing.
Wallace, pretty much the overwhelming majority of the Breath of the Wild videos were done by Underscory. He's our 4th member, who's most of the time not on the podcast ever, and a lot of the time is off in the shadows somewhere. But
playing Destiny.
Yeah.
If you want him, you can.
He's playing a lot more Destiny since, you know, he's got a kid on the way, and so his wife goes to bed early tonight at night. So he's like, yes, more time for Destiny.
Right. So he did a ton. I mean, he actually. So I mean.
He's the reason why we have almost 25,000 subscribers.
Yeah. So I did maybe 2 or 3 tutorials. What?
He did basically all of them. Yeah.
But so a lot of the ones. It's Corey's he just thinks about games a little bit differently. He took a Dark Souls approach to Breath of the Wild, which was neat. But so Fortnite, I'm not crazy about Fortnite. So that's my truth. But
you know, Josh, I told you that I would join you on your Fortnite adventures, and I have it installed.
Okay.
But it's
we'll play it tomorrow or something.
I haven't even opened up the game to try it on my own, because I keep looking at them like, I don't even know if I really want to play it. Like, is that kind of sad? Maybe it's just because it's not my thing. I mean, maybe I just don't really care for Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a very unique game, and I can see why it's attracted so many people to it. But at the same time, I don't think it's my lifelong game.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And so that is, So that end was kind of a tangent, but that's absolutely fine. I feel like we were kind of wrapping up with the topic anyways. So
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I agree.
It's always good to wrap up to talk with the audience before we sign off and all that jazz.
saw
So.
bug. All right. Yeah. So also, actually, if you guys think if there's a game that between the four of us and mostly the three of us, we play a lot of games that come out, a lot of games. And so
True.
if there is something that you need help finding or no one else has kind of done something or anything like that, let us know, because most of the tutorials that Corey kind of decided to do was because he was browsing Reddit and saw that there was a hole in knowledge and he wanted to fill that hole with his gooey knowledge.
Because
And
he
so-
knew what to do. So it's
And
like,
so if there is something, like, absolutely let us know on Facebook
Right.
or as a comment or anything like that. And we'll see if we can figure something out. We'll absolutely do our best to do it, because we kind of enjoy that process too. But
just the strategizing of how to do things better or how to get past things in games. If you're stuck in a game or with something, definitely reach out. I mean, that's some of the most fun that I've had on stream, is answering questions about a game or something when I'm playing it. Like Josh and I played Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, and we spent 30 minutes on one stream going through like how the different modules work and processes to solve things and like tips on how to do stuff. And then I eventually completely digitized the manual and put that on the subreddit for that community to use. And I got a little bit of feedback on that, and I've tweaked it some from there, but that's still an Excel document that people can access on there. And that was really fun for me to do. And I was playing through Prey on stream and had a couple people that were like stuck on a side quest or didn't know where to find somebody. And so I would kind of show them where to go or where that quest line started and things like that. So that's definitely some stuff that we do. And that's on Twitch. But yeah, you can reach out in any number of ways to get us.
Let's say we've got our Twitter, we've got our Facebook. If you can go find us, and then by all means, one of us or all three of us will probably see that, and then it's a matter of who knows the answer to this. Anyone? Anyone? Maybe.
I like the Skyrim stuff. I mean, if you include mods with Skyrim and then figuring stuff out, there's no end. I mean, the game has been out for what, 4, maybe 5 years,
No,
and
Oh,
people
God.
are
that came out
still.
when we were still in college. Like that
Yeah.
came out like 2009 or it's either 2008
Right.
or
So
2009
it's-
because
I'm
we-
still
we
waiting
were
on
still
the
living in-
Skyrim version for the TI-89 calculator.
Yeah, absolutely.
God,
That's
you
gotta
know
be
it's
the
gonna
next version of
happen.
Skyrim.
It needs to be on everything. But yeah, so I think that's about it. If you guys have any more questions or anything like that, we'd be happy to answer. If not, we'll probably do the old peace out. So I'm just killing time, waiting for the chat.
I mean, it is a PM, so you know,
It's a what?
it is a PM. It is the time where we used to go and watch The Bachelor. And when I mean we, I mean you.
I used to back in the day.
Back in the day.
Have you guys played much of the Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls games, Skyrim or Oblivion?
I
I
actually played
a whole bunch of Oblivion.
I played a lot of Morrowind way back.
yeah.
It actually came with my graphics card when I bought it when I first built my PC, and so I played a lot of
Nice.
Morrowind. And one time I was just like, I gotta find. Like I collected all the books and I stacked them straight up, and that was like a great time for me. It was to find all of the books. Are you talking about the Dragon Age, like from way back when, like
The first Dragon Age, or are we talking about Dragon Age Inquisition? Because I don't think any of us have played the Dragon Age games, unfortunately.
I played. Oh, wait a second. Ah, crap. Which one did I not play? Because I thought I played one, and then you guys were like, no, you did not.
Didn't we have this conversation where it's like, no, dude, the first game was a top-down
Yeah,
camo,
yeah.
and it's like, and you were like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, it was, and that's why the second and third games kind of try to mimic that, but it wasn't at all the same.
Yeah,
pretty sure it
was it
was.
Dragon Age Origins? I think that may have been what I played.
That was the first one. Yes,
Crap.
completely, and it was a completely different style game. Yep.
Crap. I don't remember.
It was
It's
probably
BioWare, right?
Origins.
It was BioWare?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dragon Age is Bioware.
Yeah, Firefox. Are you talking about Dragon Age? Is there like a specific thing that in Dragon Age that you just kind of wanted to do, or just because I
Or are you talking about the newer ones?
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure none of us have played that.
because the question is there anything that you want to know about the game that we could find out or help you with, but no one else has done yet? And so, I mean, it can't be game breaking. It's like, oh, how do you beat the game in like 8 seconds? It's like, well, we don't really know that. But in terms of farming and stuff like that,
Hack tours.
yeah, we sometimes try and find the best way to do it. So like Cape actually found out like an XP glitch in God of War.
Yeah, it's well known though. I looked on the Reddit today because I was like, oh yeah, I found this. If this hasn't been like talked about a lot, maybe I'll make a little video on it. But yeah, there've been stuff posts on that and videos on how to do it.
I was impressed that you found it, but at the same time, it's like XP is completely irrelevant in that game. It gets to a point where it does not like you just have it. The cup filleth over.
Yeah, that was what I found on those posts too. Is people were like, okay, yeah, you can do this, but why?
Right.
It's like I haven't 100% of the game yet, and I've purchased everything that can be purchased with XP, and I have all of this other stuff to do, and so it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter so much.
It does.
I appreciated it just to be able to unlock all of the shield and barehanded stuff really early in the game,
right,
so I could do all of those and have those moves. Made the combat a lot more fun, but yeah.
So, all right, cool.
Hold on. Before we end, Wallace said something to check Facebook, and I'm looking at it right now. Apparently, from Wallace's World of Warcraft career, he was the realm first person on the realm to achieve 525 skill in mining. I think it's for his server. And then first person on the realm to achieve 450 skill in jewel crafting.
No way. Oh, you're a beast.
Dude,
wow, that's incredible.
This was back in 2008 and 2010. Holy crap.
Wow.
Damn, you do that quick, sir.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
That is it. We do Let's Plays. We do them on Twitch, and then we basically take the archive or the VOD of that and then bring it over to our second YouTube channel, which is actually it's now part of the comments of this. So we do that. Walkthroughs, a lot of times since we're not a big channel, by the time we get games the old-fashioned way, walkthroughs
Everyone's
have already been
done.
done.
Walkthrough, so it's like, we don't like trying to do what everyone else does, but it's like at the same time, I get that. But
yeah, it definitely limits to like the content that we do, just because we do try to be original with everything. So like the crappy breakdowns was kind of fun. The random recommendations, stuff that Marshall does, like these are all kind of original stuff. And I was gonna say we all have day jobs, but really just Caleb has a day job.
I have a day job.
It's just Caleb is the only one who works.
And then Josh and I are like, hey, we're here.
I've been consistent with Get Good. I'm still remote working for my last company, so it's not like I have like a full straight 8 hours, but I definitely have way more time to do things than Caleb does. But none of us have.
I'm just a bum.
Marshall's just a bum
who plays Destiny Crucible and hates it because.
You gotta stop playing it. Stop playing it. Don't play it for the armor. What's wrong with you?
So yeah, and I would do Let's Plays, and anytime that I'm on stream and that VOD gets ported over to our Random Respawn Plays YouTube channel, those are more in the vein of like a Let's Play, because I'm usually streaming a single player type game that I haven't played before, because I enjoy going through that first experience and just having that as the VOD to watch. But I'm so late to the game on almost anything that I play, it's definitely not relevant to make a walkthrough kind of thing, because they're like people don't even know what the game is at that point. Like people have beaten it for months, and now I'm just getting around to playing. I'm just now playing God of War
on Twitch, because it's already been so long, and it's like, oh
yeah, man. Like I'm just now playing God of War.
Well, it's not that old. God.
That's not that old. This is the most recent.
You didn't tell me that you literally just started playing. What part are you up to?
Dude, what
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're talking about God of War.
End the stream, but it's like I need to know. Like, tell me what.
Like I'm like mission 2. As soon me, as soon as any hint of like world exploration opens up, that's what I'm doing.
And then you're like, oh god, everything's opening up. Oh god.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh yep, here's all these things that I can go do now. Goodbye, main story.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a while.
Yeah. Twitch can be confusing. We've had moderate success kind of stream. We don't like streaming. We used to do this for a while, but we don't like streaming on this main channel other than the podcast, because we feel like most people didn't like that, and so we didn't want to scare away any of the people that we had doing Let's Plays. And so we made a second channel just for Let's Plays, and this is kind of like the more quote-unquote polished channel. So, you know, like
All
edited
the random
things.
crap goes to the random side channel that we've got,
Right.
you know.
And so that was kind of our philosophy behind this, but nothing set in stone. This is kind of like what we're seeing, and if it works, and if it doesn't,
Yeah.
then we'll change it. We're pretty mobile, and we've been around for a while, so it's like we're not too worried about a lot of things, just because we've made it this far, and we've never gotten sued. That's a big fear. Is to just get sued for just anything.
That's the true progression right there.
That's right.
To not get sued.
If we get big
Right.
enough to get sued, though, by God, that'll be a fabulous day. When someone thinks we have money,
Unfortunately, Josh,
someone's
there's
like,
no trophy for that.
they potentially have money. We need
Someone
to sue
thinks we have
them,
money.
but not at this point. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Wallace, Uprising Firefox, Heather, Rebecca, and the
Yeah, thanks
Minikyu
for hanging out,
of
Wallace
Time.
and Firefox.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no,
it.
I super appreciate, and everyone who was watching but did not participate in the chat. That's awesome. Oh man, thanks, man, Firefox. That's super
Appreciate
cool.
that,
Appreciate,
Firefox.
yeah, that really means a lot. And that's it. So we'll do this same time next week with a different topic. If you guys have any topic ideas, leave them in the comments, and we will absolutely get to them. But yeah, we're small enough to answer all your questions. So if you have any, please absolutely ask us. We are more than happy to do this. But yeah, that's it.
For sure.
All right, so I'm Vajosh Raptor,
I'm
Calebite, Grand Marshal, and we'll see you next week, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye.